thanks. Like, hey, Scoob, did you hear Nikki Blake is hosting a Scooby-Doo panel? No. Yeah. Like on today's Scooby-Doo episode, Scooby-Doo and Shaggy meet Nikki Blake. Yeah, and a Scooby Panel. Like, we need to get this puppy started. Okay, Nikki Blake, take it away, Scooby-Doo.
Welcome to the Scooby Panel. I'm your host, Nikki Blake from ScoobyAddicts.com, and today we are talking about the Daphne and Velma movie. Before we begin, I'll have everyone introduce themselves, and Wendy, will start with you.
Hi guys, I'm Wendy BRYDGE. I'm a commissioned artist, and I've been collecting Scooby for over 30 years.
Devin?
Hi, I'm Sarah. If Daphne and Velma's actors can both be named Sarah, then why can't I?
Joel?
I'm Joel from the YouTube channel Planet Scooby.
So we are discussing the Daphne and Velma movies, and this is, I actually watched it twice to get ready for this, but I have seen it before. Devin, you said this was your first time watching it?
Yeah, this is the first time, we talked a little bit before, I think this is the first time I've not previously seen something we're going to discuss today. It's the first time I've had a fresh watch. It's all new, so I'm
Joel,
interested.
have you seen it before?
I have not seen it before, no.
Wendy?
I've seen it once before.
Okay. All right. We are going to start with the intro. So Ridge Valley High was a high-tech school. They showed robots and everyone being way too happy until the girl walked into the smoke-filled locker, and then they put Daphne and Velma on the screen and started the credits. Your thoughts on the intro, Wendy?
I mean, it's very basic. There's nothing really like super special or overdone about it, but it did do a really decent job of setting the atmosphere of the film. It's got this like creepy theremin music, but I feel like there's fun creepy and then there's spooky or scary creepy, and it definitely has that fun creepy spooky spoopy, which is what the film is. It's not a scary film, and so I actually think that was like the perfect vibe for a non-Scooby movie for what it is. It was a lot of fun, and so I appreciate an intro that was not like crazy overdone. I love the font choice. I love like the glowy blue sort of like ghostly effect that all of the text had. And actually, this is going to sound kind of weird because I know that most intros have all of like a good number of credits in them, but sometimes they're too fast, so you can't really read them, or they're sort of putting up names where you're like, okay, well, I don't really need to know that at the beginning of the movie, but this is like such a weird, like niche thing for me to like be talking about. I don't really know how to like describe why it matters to me, but I appreciated that like I could read all of the opening credits. There was enough time for my brain to like see them and then process them and think about them a little bit. But yeah, it was an interesting choice, the ceiling of all the hallways as opposed to just the walls. I'm not really sure what the purpose of that was, but I wasn't bothered by it either. It worked. I don't know if it was just like for like a more speedy, because they're moving quite quickly. It's a very quick sort of like moving in all of these directions. It did kind of have like a bit of a high-tech feel to it, which is very much the plot of the movie. Like, you know, like Nikki said, it's like a high-tech school and everything. So even though it was interesting, it definitely suited the movie that it was in. So I thought, great job with that. I don't think it needed to be more than what it was.
Devin, your thoughts on the intro?
Yeah, I just want to say I took note also during the opening credits that it was literally, they show a shot down the long hallway, right? And then it's shot of the floor, shot of the corner of the ceiling, shot of the floor, shot of the ceiling, like over and over the entire time. Then one last shot of the hallway, and then we're in the movie. And I was like, it was an odd choice to go for that. Like, I watched it twice. I was like, was it just floor and ceiling? And it was alternating that the entire time. I did like the music. I thought the music, like you said, Wendy, was like nice and like light, spooky fun.
Yeah.
Not spooky scary, but spooky fun. And I like that. You jump right into this movie too, like with the the techie intro, and then the girl like goes into locker or whatever. Like there's no like opening like studio logos or anything like that. It's just like you're right in it. This movie's an hour and 15 minutes long. It's pretty short, and it's like they're not wasting any time like getting you right into the plot. But yeah, I guess I don't know where else this would go because it's not really the intro, but I just wanted to point out too. I don't know if you guys knew this. This was made by Blondie Girl Productions. I don't know any of the other movies they've made, but that's Ashley Tisdale and her sister's Jennifer's production company, and they come from Disney, which I thought was interesting. I just wanted to put that out there at the top too. I don't know. This movie felt very Disney Channel-esque to me. So that's, yeah.
Yeah. Joel, your thoughts on the intro?
Yeah, the intro was fine. First time I watched it, I didn't really pay much attention to it. Then we got a text this morning saying, hey, we're going to talk about the intro, so I had to rewatch it to remember what happened. And I've forgotten all about the techie commercial, campus commercial thing at the start, which I liked. I remember liking it the first time I watched. But I thought I landed like I was supplied a link to watch this thing, and I thought it was like an advertisement for something else.
It feels
so I
that
was like,
way.
is this a movie? And how do I skip past this ad? And then I realized, oh, it's part of the movie. And then I remember liking the fog part and the theremin music and the font. So even though I forgot everything when I rewatched it today, that intro, that's all I watched today was the intro. I remember liking it all. And I was like, decent intro.
I agree that I thought that when it first started, it was some type of ad. And what's funny is I watched it twice for this, and the second time I watched it, I still thought it was an ad. I'm like, what the heck?
It really feels like it is. It's so shiny and glossy and like just it feels very in your face, like we're about to sell you something.
Yeah. But it was a good intro and a good for this movie, for what the movie was. And it wasn't like too long, which was nice. And it kind of set the mood that, okay, everyone seems happy, but they're not really happy. So, yeah. The plot. So basically, mystery solvers and best friends, Daphne and Velma, team up at Bridge Valley High to figure out why the smartest students are becoming mindless. Velma, who was intentionally playing dumb, decided to smarten up, and she reached top of the class. Daphne and Velma discover that the students are being hypnotized and controlled through their cell phones. They expose tech billionaire Tobias Bloom as the mastermind, who was stealing the students' ideas for his own corporate gain. Sorry if you haven't watched the movie. We are spoiling the entire movie for you in this panel, so you might want to go and watch it. Devin, your thoughts on the plot?
I actually have a question about the plot because, like I said, this is the only time I've seen this is when we watched it for this. So I'm not like I haven't previously viewed or am familiar with the movie. Was it explained why Velma was so like wanting to fail at school and be standoffish? What was that reason exactly? Just to protect, like she's like, I want to protect Daphne, but like I didn't really understand what the reason was fully.
Because she was afraid to take risks and be in danger, and if she was top of the class, then she would have been the one that would have been in danger.
So she was aware that all of this was going on because when they show her, like in the beginning, it starts with Daphne and her doing like she's doing like a live stream or something is going on, and then it cuts back and like Velma's got like red string bulletin boards and stuff, and I'm like, okay, so Velma's like already in this mystery, and she's trying to protect Daphne because Daphne's smart and popular. Is that what's going on?
I was a little confused why she was being so mean to Daphne and not wanting Daphne's help with anything. But then I thought maybe it was because she was playing dumb and Daphne knows that she's really smart. And maybe she didn't want Daphne to know that she was like failing at everything so that she wouldn't be in the top of the class. So she wouldn't then be the one being taken.
Okay, yeah, interesting. Okay.
Well, don't forget that Velma doesn't know that Daphne is coming to the school.
But she does tell her like on the video chat
Yes,
thing.
during the video chat, she tells her. So it's only after Velma finds out that Daphne is going to be coming to the school that she starts being kind of a bee towards Daphne.
Yeah.
So like prior to that, she's okay, but she's obviously investigating everything that's going on her own. I think part of why she is also playing dumb is not just like a self-preservation, but also like, if they mind warp me, I'm not going to be able to keep investigating this, and clearly something is going on. Because
Okay.
like her like murder board
Sure.
is like, she is clearly like in it. But then Daphne shows up and she cares about Daphne. Now, I don't think that Daphne's like top of the class or anything, but I think Velma is just like very protective of Daphne and doesn't want her getting like involved in it. I don't think she's necessarily worried about Daphne blowing her cover, even though I could see why people might think that a little bit, but I think it is more like she's just very protective of Daphne, and she's not expecting Daphne to show up either.
Yeah.
And like involve herself in what she's doing.
Okay. I mean, yeah, okay, that all makes sense. I feel like it felt a little underbaked slightly in the plot department. Like, it's all there, but it's also a little bit like not like fully fleshed out a ton. So I guess my feelings on the plot. I think that it's fine for what this movie is. Like, this movie, that's the plot, and it works. Like, it works within this movie. But as far as like Scooby Doo, I don't love like techie stuff. I feel I'm not like a robot techie guy when it comes to Scooby Doo. I like more like old world monsters and weird like haunted locations and things like that. And this is like kind of like a brightly lit like high school, and it just feels like too modern. And I don't love that for Scooby Doo, but I do think that it works for this movie.
Yeah. Joel, your thoughts on the plot?
The plot was fine. Yeah, it was. I don't know if it was half baked for me, more just stretched out, or maybe the pacing issue. There just didn't seem enough plot. Well, I guess I don't know. Like, I was confused, so I'm glad you kind of reiterated things. Um, Plot's very basic, which is Scooby-Doo tends to have sometimes some basic plots. Um, which is fine. But those episodes are also half an hour. And you often have more plot than this, I think, too. They cram more in. But yeah, it's for the target audience, which I'm assuming is young kids, young girls specifically. It's fine.
Wendy, your thoughts on the plot?
Yeah, I think they were definitely targeting a modern audience with this. And I get that too, because kids today, teenagers today, I mean, it is very different than when any of us went to school. And so I could definitely see them thinking like, okay, how do we appeal to like today's teenagers and like young adults and kids? Like, how are we going to like bring them in? And of course, like, even though this movie is like 8 years old, tech's always like, it's always a thing. And I feel like even 10 years ago, like, yeah, it was a big deal. I'm definitely not the target for that kind of plot, because I also would prefer something that is like more old world and like less modern and shiny, because I'm not into tech at all. I hate that. I still have my landline like pried out of my cold dead hands, you know? So I had that's really the only thing I had a difficult time with in this movie, was just how like modern everything was. However, I think that the spirit of this film, including the bottom line of the plot, is actually very on point for Scooby, even though this is definitely not a Scooby movie. But I'm not mad about it though, because I love that Daphne and Velma like got their moment, and that they played it as like very true. I felt that it was actually like quite true to those characters if they had been real. Like, I believed that this is how those characters could have acted. But I mean, basically the plot boils down to using the imaginations and creative brain power of kids. to me, when they did that sort of like, you know, when they get the villain and they realize what's going on, and when they said that, I was like, that's kind of brilliant. Because, like, obviously we're adults watching Scooby stuff, but we were kids once, and that's what we were doing. And I don't know, I just love that throwback to Scooby being for kids. Like, this was almost, to me, the acknowledgement of that, and the acknowledgement of why Scooby was so popular with children, because it sparked your imagination, and it acknowledges kids themselves and their value or their worth, which is something that I feel like you don't really see a lot of, or you don't hear it voiced a lot. So if I'm imagining like maybe like a preteen age, like I sort of view this movie as being more for like 13-ish. I don't really know that I would put it younger, like at 8 or something, where like classic Scooby, that's where I would put it. I kind of put it like a little bit up a little bit more. But I don't know. I just thought it actually sort of like uplifted kids a little bit. And to me, that's very on brand for Scooby. And I love that they went that route with it, instead of like what typically happens with modern adaptations, where it's like, oh, make it more adult, make it more mature. And it's like, it's Scooby, like F off with that. We don't need that. You can do like Devin said, it definitely has that Disney sort of like flavor to it. And even though I didn't grow up with like those types of Disney shows, like when I was watching Disney, it was like freaking cartoons. It wasn't like the live action stuff. But I appreciate that, because that is more appropriate for children than the stuff that today they try and push. So I had no issues with that. I thought that was very on brand for Scooby. And I just love that key point in the plot, because it just gave something. I felt like it was giving something back to kids, which is where Scooby started.
Yeah.
I wanted to add to the Disney Channel stuff a little bit. Yeah, this is a little bit more modern than when I was growing up, obviously. But like I said, like Ashley Tisdale, like I grew up on like High School Musical and Sweet Life of Zack and Cody and all that stuff. Like that was like right in my age demographic. Like that was the stuff. And then Brian, what's his last name that plays Daphne's dad in this?
Stepanek.
Stepanek. He plays Arwen. He plays the janitor on Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, so that makes sense why he was in this. She probably was like, hey, come on over, you know what I mean? Join this. And I love him on Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, and I will refer to him as Arwen for the rest of this panel, because I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name because I'm going to mess it up. So Arwen, the janitor, he was great in this. Should we discuss that now in the plot stuff? Should we discuss like... No,
we're going to discuss the cast next.
Okay, so we're going to save his... Okay.
Save his praise for a few more minutes.
Okay.
Okay. So I do agree with you guys regarding the plot. It was okay. I felt like it was lacking, and I felt like there were parts that were dragged out that shouldn't have even been part of the plot or shouldn't have been a main focus. But I don't really want to get into what that is, because we're going to talk about that later. So now we're going to talk about the cast so that Devin can say what he needs to say. But before we do that, I'm going to read the cast list, and I'm going to also read the information about who created it. So it was written by Kyle Mack and Caitlin Mears, produced by Ashley Tisdale, Jennifer Tisdale, Amy Kim, Jamie Burke, Susie Unessi directed and produced it, music by Sasha Gordon. And then the cast itself: Sarah Jeffrey as Daphne, Sarah Gilman as Velma, Vanessa Morano as Carol, Brian Stepanek as Nedley Blake, Nadine Ellis as Elizabeth Blake, Arden Mirren as Principal Piper, who was Velma's aunt, Brooks Forrester as Tobias Bloom, Lucius Baston as Mr. Nussbaum, Courtney Dietz as Michaela, Adam Faison as Spencer, Evan Costello as Griffiths, and Mickey Pollock as Tumot Maggie. Thoughts on the cast? Joel?
I was fine with the cast. I don't have as much to say about the cast as Devin will.
Well, I don't know why we're assuming. I got so much to say about the cast.
You have all the notes.
That's true.
I did like the father quite a bit. He's a standout to me. Um, the principal was a bit too much for me, but I got what she was going for. Probably appeals to younger girls, maybe her performance, but it was just too much for me. I just felt like she just wanted to bang that industrial smart techie dude the whole time.
Tobias Bloom.
Yeah. Yeah. She felt very horny for that guy. Felt like to me. But it was given in a way that I guess kids wouldn't figure that out. But for me, it was just too much. But I got what she was doing. It was fine. I'm not knocking her performance. She had fun with it. Daphne, Velma, they were fine. Daphne's mom, fine. Janitor, not the janitor from the show Devin watched, but the janitor in this one. We don't want to confuse them. She stood out to me. Was she in the Disney stuff? She seemed like she would be a pullout.
I didn't necessarily recognize her, but I did like that she had 2 mops. So
Yes, yes. That's that. And the Nemesis girl, like the
Carol.
villain.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Vanessa Morano.
I was wondering because she always looked a bit older, and then it's revealed she's 26, so that made kind of sense. So yeah, she was good. It was all good. All the cast were great. Given the material they were given.
Wendy, your thoughts on the cast?
I mean, I don't know what's wrong with all of you, but I thought this was an awesome movie and I loved all of the cast as well. Okay. I really liked the character of Spencer. I thought that the actor really gave him like life in a way that I would have been interested in seeing more of him as like in character instead of being like zombified. Although having watched the movie all the way through though, I'm glad that they stuck with it is about Daphne and Velma and that is it. Everyone else is a supporting character. They are not the main characters in any way, shape, or form. And again, that's a very bold choice for this. But for me, I actually thought that they pulled it off and I loved it because I thought that the actresses that played Daphne and Velma really had good chemistry. It was very believable for me, very enjoyable. I don't know, the rest of the people, like everyone was good, but I didn't really care. I just wanted to see Daphne and Velma together. I was surprised. It was been a few years since I watched this, and I didn't remember anything about it except that I did enjoy it way more than I thought I would when I first watched it. I thought that Maggie the janitor was going to actually like turn out to be something, and she just wasn't. So that was kind of surprising because maybe she was like a tiny bit of a red herring, because sometimes where they'd show her and I'm like, what is she up to? Is she maybe like a secret bad guy, or maybe she's a secret good guy and she's going to save the day? And then it just ended up that she was just the janitor and that's all there was to it. So it catfished me for sure, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's good if a show or a movie can surprise you. And that was a surprise. I was expecting something a little bit different than that. But yeah, even like the idiot boys, little jock club there. Super annoying, but I think we all went to school with a couple of those. And so, they had a redeeming moment at the end, which we'll talk about later. But I don't know. I just thought that everyone worked really, really well together. And I loved this movie a lot more than I thought I would. I would say for me, this is like the best of all of the live action, even though it's really not Scooby. It's really not. That's not what it is.
I can't believe you'd say such a thing.
I loved it because to me, this was like the truest interpretation of Daphne and Velma for me. I had just a few issues with Velma, but the girl that played Daphne, I think she's a superstar. And I love the way that she played Daphne. I loved it.
Devin, your thoughts on the cast?
I'm speechless. Okay. I have so many thoughts. Okay. I enjoyed watching the movie. I enjoyed it. I had a good time. I laughed out loud at parts. I thought it was fun. I do think it's the worst live action Scooby-Doo movie. I'm so sorry, Wendy. It just doesn't feel like anything like Scooby-Doo to me. Like, it just feels like you took Velma and Daphne and you put them in like a high school tech movie and then just said it was like Scooby-Doo. You know what I mean? Like, we'll talk about the tropes in a little bit, but it just didn't feel like Scooby-Doo necessarily, but I did have fun watching it. I did have a good time. I did enjoy the characters, but it did not feel like Scooby-Doo. Yeah, I like the janitor lady with her mops. They tried to give her another mop at the end because she started off with 3 mops and they broke one and then she had 2 and she was like, I would have appreciated a gift card instead. So good for her. Yeah, the principal, like Joel said, she was like super horny. She was basically like licking that portrait of Tobias Bloom on the wall. And also kind of like, I don't know if this was on purpose or not, but kind of like an interesting thing with her is she was Velma's aunt. And I'm like, is that just kind of like a throwback to like, oh, like all of the gang's weird like extended families show up in Scooby-Doo a lot. Like maybe that was a reason why she was the aunt. Let's see, Velma and Daphne. I thought they were casted good. I think that I liked Daphne's actress more than Velma's. Not that either of them did a bad job, but I do agree with Wendy. I think that Daphne did a really good job and she played the role really well. Arwen from Sweet Zach and Cody. He's hilarious on that show. He's like the super comic relief and like very slapsticky goofy. And I kind of wish that there was more of that to his character in this because he's kind of more like, he's not goofy, but he's more straight than he is on that show. So I do wish that he was a little bit more goofy. The standouts to me were the jock guys. They were, every time they were saying anything, I was laughing. I wrote it down verbatim. Can I read you this quote that they say in the lunchroom? Okay, so Velma and Daphne are like, they get in trouble and they have to like serve lunch at the lunch, behind the lunch counter, whatever. They got the hairnets on, all that stuff. These jock guys come up, they have a little interaction, whatever. And then they're like, hey, we need to go get under that little rolling cart with a little sheet thing over it. And we need to like go spy on them to like hear like what they're talking about. So they get in this cart and they roll over to these dudes that are sitting at this thing. Velma peeks out at the lunch table to listen to the guys. This is the beginning of that conversation. And I literally laughed out loud at this interaction. The one guy says, you know, like when I think about it, I don't really care what I do when I grow up. I just want to be like a really good dad, you know? And then the other guy says back, dude, you will be the best dad. I mean, you're a natural nurturer. Sometimes I wish you were my dad. And I was like, A+, A+ for that. Like that was the highlight of the movie for me, was that interaction right there. So great character.
I do think it was cast really well. I thought the Daphne and Velma actresses were really good. I thought that the jocks were pretty funny. And yeah, it did seem like everybody worked well together. I didn't really like the principal, not the actress, but just the way that she was written. I felt like for such a high-tech school, that's not how the principal would act. And I just couldn't really get behind her character. Like, she kind of annoyed me every time she was on the screen. But
I agree. Sorry.
And it's nothing against her acting ability. Her acting ability is great. I just didn't think that the writing for her was what they should have done for this movie. Yeah. Daphne and Velma as characters. And I'd also like to talk about their outfits in this part. Wendy, your thoughts on Daphne and Velma as characters?
Yeah, again, I felt that this was, and I'm sure that it is because it definitely does not have any of that let's make them more mature vibe that I feel like, I mean, the Cartoon Network movies didn't have that, but I also feel like they were trying to force a little bit of like character conflict into that as well. And there was like a little bit more drama between like the characters in the gang, and I'm not into that. So this was like kind of refreshing once they got past like what Velma was doing in the beginning. Because while, yes, obviously that made sense for the plot, you know, she was pretending and everything. But I don't like that, because I feel like too often Velma sort of gets this, like, it's like what they've done with Wednesday. I'm sorry, Lisa Loring in the 60s was not like some kind of like cold, brooding, emotionless girl. And they've made her into that. And it's not that that's not enjoyable too, but it's not accurate. And so I feel like they tend to do that with Velma, is they give her this like hard edge that I don't think she has. I don't think it belongs in Velma's character. So she still kind of had a little, even when we realize what's going on, she still kind of had this, like, I don't know how do I say it? This like social awkwardness that once again, I'm like, where did that come from? I feel like the more I look back on all of the different iterations of these two characters over the years, and it's particularly Velma, I don't know that anyone has fully understood Velma as a character. And that kind of makes me mad, because I don't look at her as like a nerd. She's just really smart. And those are not the same thing. I've never seen Velma be socially awkward in the original cartoons. And I mean like any of the original, like basically pre-1990 iterations of Velma. She's not socially awkward. She's not cold. Or, you know, she's not like giving like a cold shoulder. And I feel like people saw that she was wearing glasses, and they've made the glasses her whole personality. And they've built her character now around a very specific stereotype of people who wear glasses. In particular, something like what Velma wore, like, you know, sort of Coke bottle, you know, it has like a stigma attached to it, kind of. And I don't think that's fair. So what I really like about Velma in this, even though I wish they would have taken it a little bit further, for me, this is the first time in live action where we get to see pieces of Velma as just a regular girl. She's just a regular girl who happens to wear glasses and be really smart. Why can't we just let her be that? So for the moments in this where she does that, which to me is kind of like, I don't have a problem with, like, I didn't think that the plot was like not strong enough or anything, because to me, this movie was about those two characters. The plot, like the story, was actually secondary to like their friendship and the exploration of them as people and how they would interact together in any given situation, and how they sort of like built each other up, how they supported each other. And I don't know, that was just like a refreshing thing, because I feel like those characters, they're so stereotyped and sometimes based on nothing, that we just lose the essence of them as girls. At the end of the day, that's what they are. It's just two girls that are friends. You know, they start out, they're internet BFFs to real life BFFs. I thought that was awesome. We've even talked before about, you know, like what jobs would the gang have if they were in modern times. And we've talked about Daphne being a vlogger, and I totally bought it in this movie. I was like, this makes sense. I don't have any problem with this at all. I also love that they did not make Daphne, like, they didn't dumb her down. They didn't really make her danger prone either. Like, there's like sort of like a subplot where at first you're like, oh my gosh, look how lucky she is. You know, she avoids like getting hit in the head with something. She avoids like these little disasters. And you're like, okay, they're making her the opposite of danger prone. And then you find out it's actually her dad, like, apparently follows her around everywhere and like protects her from all of these things. But even when he stops, though, yes, we get a couple of like fun little throwback to Scooby moments that are like a little bit danger prone, but they don't make that her whole character, though. And again, I appreciated that. They like gave her moment of like, no, that is a woman with a brain and a heart, And so this is like my favorite, apart from classic cartoon Daphne. This is my favorite iteration of Daphne ever. This to me is the closest to what I would imagine Daphne if she was a real person. This is how I would want her to be. She's like sweet, and there's like just a hint of like naivety to her, but not to make her dumb though, as I feel like sometimes that happens with her, and they make her like kind of like a bimbo or something, or she's like an airhead. And I'm just like, how did you ever get that from classic Scooby, that Daphne should be like that? That's not fair. That's not fair at all. So like they both got their moments here. I love all, I'm sorry, I don't care. Give me her whole wardrobe. Can we just talk about those thigh-high tan boots that she wears at the beginning of the show? Get in my closet right now. In my closet. I loved every outfit that she had on, even though that little like jean overall type thing, but it came like it was weird, and it still looked good on her. And still like the play on the purple and the green for Daphne and like the orange for Velma. Like, how iconic are you as a character when literally a color combination and people immediately think of you? Like, that's, I don't know that people appreciate the gravity of that, like how incredible that is. There is like there's one line after her dad like quits picking her outfits for her, and she like makes her first like, I'm gonna put this on, and it is kind of a throwback a little bit. You can tell it is very much inspired by original Daphne's outfit, and I was like, I freaking love it. I would wear that too.
And then they put an ugly alien shirt on her. I'm sorry.
It's so
terrible. It's so bad. It's so bad. It's terrible.
Oh my gosh. And the girl's like, Plum and Sage, that's a bold choice. Feel free to incinerate your other outfit. Excuse me? No. You go back in your hovel. You have no fashion sense. Like, zip your mouth. Okay? Because Plum and Sage is awesome together. Plum and Sage, maybe not exactly classic Daphne, but close enough because it totally worked. And also, because like I'm not resistant to all change, that was a good way of updating it or making it your own while still paying perfect tribute to the original. You know, it's not the lime green and the purple. It's like the darker green with the purple. That's fine. You know, I was into it. I loved, she's got like a purple jacket through part of it. And I'm just like, where can I buy these clothes? Because she looks better than everybody else in this film. So yeah, it's the way that I feel like they should be. You know, Velma could use like, I'd still like to see her like a little less of that like antisocial edge, because I don't think that she needs that. But I love how in this movie they kind of bring out the best in each other. And it makes me, like, to be honest, after I watched this again, what it made me wish is that maybe not, I'm not saying that I would have rather this than the new Scooby-Doo mysteries, but it made me wish that we could go back to the 80s and have them do Daphne and Velma solving mysteries on their own. Because cartoon Daphne and Velma from the 80s, but like this, I would absolutely watch that. And I actually think it would be a lot of fun. And again, like, yeah, it's not Scooby, but I was actually okay with that because I loved their dynamic, which we'll talk about later, but I loved their dynamic so much that I didn't miss Scooby and the rest of the gang. This was like a breath of fresh air where I was like, yes, those two characters have earned their moment in the spotlight and they let them shine. And I thought that that was like the best thing ever.
Devin, your thoughts on Daphne and Velma as characters and their outfits?
Yeah, to piggyback on the last thing Wendy just said there, I guess I'll start there. Yeah, I didn't really like necessarily miss the rest of the gang or anything in this. Like, I just felt like, I'm like, yeah, this is Velma and Daphne's movie. And I was like, it's weird that they've never, like, they don't have like a lot of interaction together. You know what I mean? So it was interesting to like have that here. Yeah, there, I think, just to, sorry, when you said a lot there, that I was like, oh, that's, I have something to say about that. And now I'm like, what did I have to say? I feel like the issue with Velma nowadays being characterized as like a nerd and Daphne being like the like attractive dumb girl or whatever, I think that just has to come with the franchise being around for so long. It's like when the franchise first came out, right? People watched it and they get to know these characters and they know who they are. And then it becomes a thing where Scooby-Doo is so well known, even to people that don't really watch the franchise, that they like know what it's about in broad strokes. So you kind of like make assumptions about it. You know what I mean? It's like, I feel like everyone in the world knows about the shower scene in Psycho, even if they've never really watched Psycho. You know what I mean? So like people that don't even know Scooby-Doo or like vaguely remember it from when they were a kid, maybe they haven't watched as an adult, you're kind of like, oh, Velma's the nerdy one and Daphne is like the attractive, like dumb girl and Fred's like the jock and like whatever. And it's like, I think they just become stereotypes after a long time. And that's kind of the issue that we fall in today with those characterizations being there, which they did not play into in this movie, which I did appreciate. And I feel like, yeah, I didn't love Velma's character at first, but obviously that was on purpose. I literally wrote my notes. I'm like, Velma kind of sucks right now. But I was like, obviously that's on purpose. I know they're going to go somewhere with it, you know, whatever. And they did, and that was fine. Yeah, I guess I don't have a ton to add necessarily to their characters. I thought that they were good. I'm glad they didn't go the stereotypical route. I also made note of the danger-prone Daphne, like, kind of, like, flip there in reversal. I thought that was interesting. Yeah, they had her put on that ugly aliens shirt. Like, it was so bad. Like, they gave her, okay, so this is a tech school. Everyone's dressed like I am right now, like it's a weird Disney Channel movie where this is how teenagers dress, apparently. But they give her this shirt, and then the girl goes on her phone, and this other girl's wearing like a rabbit sweater, by the way. Just wanted to throw that out there. We're talking about fashion. She's wearing a rabbit sweater. I don't know. She's the, sorry, spoiler alert, villain of the movie. She's wearing a rabbit sweater. I don't know why I keep saying that. But she holds up this shirt, she pulls out her phone, and she's like, oh, let's put a new design on this shirt. Your purple, your plum and sage or whatever is ugly as hell. So like she's like, let me get you something better. And she's like, you love aliens. And so she like pulls it up, and it's like this purple shirt with like a couple aliens like really small printed, and it's the ugliest thing I've ever seen. And Velma's outfits throughout it are not terrible, except for I hated the cat sweater that she was wearing. It was also kind of ugly.
I like that the cat sweater had glasses though.
Yes. Oh, also, they eventually did kind of put her in the orange turtleneck, but the orange turtleneck also had a tiny little pair of glasses right there. And I'm like, what are we doing?
We're really playing up those glasses.
Yeah.
Joel, your thoughts on Daphne and Velma as characters and their outfits?
I also did not like that alien shirt. It was driving me mad watching it. Hated that shirt. I'm like, this is the best they can do.
Yeah.
They have all this technology, and this is what they. Other than that, I can echo the same kind of thoughts about how I liked how they made Daphne. Like, I liked her characterization. They didn't bimbo her down. They didn't dumb her down. They made her nice, pleasant. I also didn't like Velma at the start. Understood why they did it. But I'm glad, they made her just an average girl, kind of like smart, but not like super brainiac, not poo-pooing everything. Or Velma's fun in real life, like, and she should be, because they're going 100 places and stuff. She's not always like this is fake all the time. She doesn't really do that until like the reveal at the end. This is what happened. But during a run of Scooby-Doo, she's running away from ghosts because she's scared. It's not until the end where she kind of reveals everything, where she's like, I forget the word. She's not the Dana Scully where she's trying to disprove everything. She's just that she's become like, now she's kind of become that. Like the recent Scooby-Doo movie, she's like this giant, I don't know, just
skeptic.
There's no fun in the recent movies.
Okay.
Because she's like going to
she's a
wits
wet blanket.
Yeah, she's a wet blanket. Yeah, thank you. And she's going head to head with the Riddler, who's like all of a sudden this Hannibal Lecter character in Scooby-Doo, and it's just bizarre. But wet blanket's a good word. Thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked how the writers and the creative team and the producers or whoever was responsible for making these girls teenagers, and the conflict wasn't, they're constantly fighting, bickering with one another, which you see a lot in a lot of modern teen dramas and stuff, and they're not catty or bitchy, and they're just average girls, which I liked. Yeah.
I don't have a whole lot to add other than the one thing that made me cringe was in the beginning when Daphne was eating with her parents, and every time she took a bite, oh my gosh, it's like giving me chills right now. She ran the fork across her teeth.
Ooh.
You could hear it. Oh, it was awful. It was awful. Oh, that bothered me a lot.
I'm sorry.
I actually liked Velma's outfits. I don't know. She seemed more like comfortable. And I guess I always dress for comfort and not for fashion. So yeah. Yeah. And I did think that the little pin on her orange sweater was kind of cute with the glasses, but I think that they kind of overdid the whole glasses thing. So we're going to discuss the dynamic between Daphne and Velma, and for me, it was hard for me to get past Velma being mean to Daphne in the beginning because they were online best friends and they were talking about cases, and then all of a sudden Daphne's like, oh, I'm coming to Ridge Valley, and Velma's like, oh no, I hate you. And she was just really mean. And I get she didn't want Daphne to know that she was pretending to be stupid, but I mean, there had to have been a better way to handle that. Because I feel like this was kind of a girl power kind of movie. And I thought it set up that whole girl power thing the wrong way by having them kind of against each other in the beginning. Although the couch was kind of cool. Devin, your thoughts on the dynamic between Daphne and Velma?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I honestly have a lot more to add than I've already said. Like, I mean, this movie is pretty bare bones as far as like plot and character goes. Like, it goes into some stuff, obviously, like we've discussed. But like I said, like I at the beginning I was like, Velma kind of sucked because I don't know, and then they became friends, and it was all well and good, and they were in the movie.
Joel, your thoughts on the dynamic between Daphne and Velma?
Yeah, I don't have much to add either. It did kind of hype me up for a sequel because I like the end dynamic more than the start dynamic. Well, not the start, but the Daphne going to school, Velma pretending to have no friends and be antisocial and all that. But I would have liked to seen where they gone in the sequel with that dynamic and a bigger budget maybe, but the dynamic overall, like 80% was fine for me.
So you want a second movie. So you didn't think this one was as bad as you're letting on.
I'm not saying it's bad. It's just I'm not the target for it. It's Queens and Wendy.
Same difference, Joel.
Wendy, your thoughts on the dynamic between Daphne and Velma?
Yeah, I don't have a ton to add, but I definitely can add some more. In a word, I just thought that it was beautiful. And I appreciated that so much. To go off of something that you said, Nikki, I totally understand the point that you were making about like how it set the movie up and everything. And I don't disagree with that. But I will just say, though, that them doing that, I really like how that gave them the ability to showcase a part of Daphne personality that I feel like when you think about it, you're like, oh, that makes perfect sense. I could go back to like classic Scooby and it makes sense there too, but we never see it. And that is that no matter how much Velma tried to push her away, she was like, no, we're not doing this. Absolutely not. And like, she never got mad at Velma for Velma doing that. And she just like kept on with like all of this positivity and being like, Velma, why are you doing this? Like, stop it. You know, like, come on, we're a team and everything. And I feel like that is a very important and admirable quality for people in real life to have, you know, and that Daphne did not just immediately jump to an obvious conclusion like, wow, my best friends treat me like trash right now. Like, what the heck is this? And she very easily could have been played as like really, really hurt by that. And it would have changed the whole dynamic, not only of the movie, but of their friendship too. Now, again, that is not me condoning the way that in the movie Velma goes about that. I definitely think that was not, they didn't need to do that. But I can see some validity in it just so that we get to see that side of Daphne, who is like very tenacious and positive and upbeat. And she wasn't going to take no for an answer. And that whole scene with the couch, I love that scene so much. And especially because the way that they sort of like break down that wall that Daphne doesn't realize is like a phony wall. But to see, like, that's the Velma that I want to see. By the end of that scene where they're on the couch and they keep getting like pushed closer together and like they're laughing and they like, Daphne like puts her arm around Velma and gives her a big hug and like Velma doesn't push her away. I feel like sometimes there can be like this weird dynamic between female characters, especially when you've got one that is more like the stereotypical Velma type girl and the stereotypical Daphne type girl. And like, they'll play it to where like one is really like touchy feely and the other one's like, okay, I love you, but like, don't touch me. And I've never seen Velma as that. So to see her like break down at the end of that scene and Daphne's hugging her and she's just loving it, I was like, yes, that is why I'm watching this film. That is why I will tell everybody that I love this film. I just feel like that is such a good, and again, I guess it goes back to like the Disney aspect of things, but frick, look at how miserable the world is. Look at how miserable people are in the world. What is wrong with having something like this? I think that if there was more of this in entertainment, that young people especially would be a lot better off if we saw more of like friends fighting for their friendship, friends not bickering with each other, but like finding solutions. Like, here's a problem, let's solve it. You know what I mean? And just like coming together and loving each other just for who they are. I think we need more of that today. So I think there's definitely something that everyone can learn from the dynamic between those two characters in this film. And I don't know, they just made such good friends. And like Devin said earlier, we don't see a lot of Daphne and Velma being paired together in classic Scooby. I mean, off the top of my head, really all I can think of is a few times where they were spending the night somewhere and like they're sharing a bedroom. You know, vampire bats and scaredy cats, and Daphne's brushing her hair and Velma's doing like sit-ups in the background. And then they get scared when the shutter bangs shut and they go to bed and everything. But it's not enough for us to see them, like it's not enough of an interaction for us to see like their character come out and their actual friendship. So the dynamic here, which to me was the point of the film, I don't think, like, obviously I'm not the person that wrote it or anything, and this is just my own conjecture, but the way that it all played out, I feel like the point of the movie was not the story. It was the story of Daphne and Velma and their friendship. And like Joel, not to jump ahead to the end of our conversation, but I also was very like, if they put out a part 2, like right now, as long as it was them again and they kept that same dynamic, I would be like, yes, you could honestly make that a series and I would watch it. Because just seeing them like not bickering even when there was bickering in it. Daphne wasn't having it. So there wasn't really bickering. And I'm like, yes, can we normalize that? We don't need to bicker with our friends. We don't need to bicker with other people. It's okay to just like be positive, even when there's like shit going down. It's okay. That's a good thing, you know, because there is a lot of crummy stuff. So yeah, anyway, it was just beautiful. I liked this movie, so.
I'm with Joel. I feel like it wasn't really targeted towards me. It wasn't an awful movie, but I just don't feel like I was the target audience. I am happy that they didn't put in relationships, especially because movies like this like to pit them against each other over a guy. And it was nice to see that they didn't do something like that. We're going to discuss the chase scene. So basically, the cloaked figure was following Daphne and Velma around the school throughout the whole movie, and then eventually started chasing them in the area behind the lockers. They sort of attempted to do the door scene without doing the door scene. Velma lost her glasses during this. They tripped the hooded figure at the end, which happened to be Daphne's dad, and then realized in the lair that everything was designed by Daphne's mom for a balloon. What are your thoughts on the chase scene, Devin?
What I'm about to say is going to sound a lot more interesting than what we got. Okay. So what I'm about to say is that it was terrible. It might be one of the worst chase scenes I've ever seen in Scooby-Doo. I'm not gonna lie. They're in these back rooms. There's a bunch of computer stuff, and they're like, "Uh-oh, there's a hooded figure coming." And yeah, they like there's like this set of like computer what's-its, doesn't matter, and they like run around it like 57 times, and it's like the same shot over and over. They're just like running around it. It's like all sped up, and they're like doing one of these numbers, and then like they do, like you said, they try to do the like door thing, but it's just like a mirrored image thing where it's like Daphne's like peeking out of a door, but they show it on both sides. It's just a mirrored screen. And like, yeah, Velma, like it's not set up at all. Like they don't show her like falling down or anything like that. It's just like they're running around really fast, and then all of a sudden it's a shot of Velma like reaching for her glasses on the ground. It's like, and then the hooded figure gets tripped, and he's just a guy in a row. It's Arwen from Swimzack and Cody in a bathrobe on a hoverboard, and it's like, I don't know. Listen. I might like shit on everything about this movie, but I did have a great time watching all of it. I had fun watching all of it, and I enjoyed myself, but I do think a lot of it was not great, but it was fun. And this is one of those parts.
Joel, your thoughts on the chase scene?
The chase scene, yeah, I have to agree with Devin. I get, you know, they're kind of maybe had a low budget and they're going for the repeated footage that they're paying homage to repeated footage in cartoons and what with that hallway, but there's no sense of like tension or suspense in that chase scene. We didn't know where the ghost was in relationship to, or the hooded figure was in relationship to the characters. They had that mirrored stuff going on too. I wish they put more of those gags that we saw later on where they're using their shirts to blend in with the environment, or where they're sitting and there's a scene later on where they're hiding and they kind of blend in with the background. I wish they did more of that with the chase scene. And yeah, it just didn't make any sense. It seemed just very low budget, and sometimes with a low budget you can get creative, but here I think they might have thought they're getting creative, paying respect to stuff, but for me it didn't work. It didn't fly.
I didn't like that when they were blending in, that they had Velma lay on the floor and then he was mopping the floor around her.
Okay.
Like, that made absolutely no sense.
I didn't know we were going to get to this part, but that was my second favorite part of this whole movie. It was, yeah, she's laying on the floor later on, and like she's got the shirt on, and it's like they just show an overhead shot of this guy mopping around her, and it's like clearly he would see her laying an inch in front of him on the floor. And it's just, it's so goofy. It's honestly, it's perfect.
But if he's mopping around her, he's missing part of the floor. Like, no one mops like he does. You would just mop the floor and just keep
Yeah.
he should have ran into her with the mop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wendy, your thoughts on the chase scene?
Well, just to touch on that, I mean, that is all of classic Scooby, where they're like, how did you not see me? I mean, it's kind of like friggin' Burt Ward with like this skinny little, oh, you don't know who I am?
Mm-hmm.
You have no idea? I mean, come on. So, I mean, I was okay with all of that because I thought that that was just paying homage to like the ridiculousness in all of classic Scooby, where it's just like, I mean, how do you not know it's them? I mean, like Scooby dressed like a horse and they think it's a real horse. Like, really? Do they think it's a real horse though? So, okay. For me, Chasey, like unpopular opinion. I feel like in Scooby, the chase scene is one of those tropes that people assume is all over the place. And I'm like, to me, only season 2 of Where Are You actually has like what I would call a chase scene. Like literally like 8 episodes of the show. And that's it. Because like, yes, I know the monster always chases somebody at some point in every episode. But like the chase scene with these kind of antics, that's season 2 of Where Are You? Because there's a cool song by Austin Roberts playing in the background. And that's it. So I really don't need like an inserted chase scene like this. I appreciate why they wanted it. I appreciate the little things that they tried to do. I actually did love that we just get like a quick glimpse of like Daphne grabbing Velma's glasses for her on the floor. Like, because I mean, obviously we can't have Velma without her losing her glasses. And they got it in there, but they didn't make it her whole thing. So I like that there was like a nod to it, but we didn't need to focus on that. That was not the point of the movie. But yeah, I didn't need it. I didn't need a chase scene because again, to me, that is not actually a Scooby trope. It has become one in more modern times. And I just mean like 2000s onward really for that. But it's really not a thing in classic Scooby except for season 2. So yeah, I think it would have been totally fine without it, but I didn't mind it either. I'm just glad it didn't last like 5 minutes or something.
The part that I really was bothered by this was Daphne's dad, like being the hooded figure and following them around the school. Because once he told her that he was doing all these things, like he should have just gone away and done his thing. Why was he even chasing them anyway? Like, why would you intentionally chase your daughter and her friends around a dark hallway behind lockers and scare them to death? And then, like, you're just pretending that you're a ghost, and then they trip you and you're like, oh hey, it's me.
It's because he's unemployed and he is bored, I think he's just at home and he's like, I got nothing going on, I'm just gonna go to school and follow my daughter around. Right, because he doesn't have a job, right? Like the wife is in, like, she made an app. We didn't talk about that yet. Can we talk about that right now? Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, yeah. The wife made an app, and I thought at first the kid said, the guy with the glasses, what was his name? Spencer?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, oh, your mom invented Smash Mouth, is what I thought he said. And I was like, her mom wrote All Star? And I was very confused for like 0.5 seconds until I think he said Mouth? Is that what it was called? Is that the app was called?
Not
Mouth?
sure what it's called. I don't know.
I don't remember
Okay, well,
what it was called.
she invented an app where like you put dog face filters on dogs, right? Is that, am I remembering correctly this? Yeah.
Yes.
And so she got like rich and she works with Tobias Bloom or whatever. And then like Arwen doesn't do anything. Is that what I'm to believe? He just like has been following her around for like 16 years or so, just like all her schools and just like make sure she's safe. Is that?
Seems like it.
It does seem like that. But I mean, even in 2018, a parent isn't going to be allowed in the school unless he's supposed to be in the school.
Also,
so you can't tell me that he's just dressed in this robe, walking around the hallways. No one ever notices him.
Not walking on a hoverboard.
Yes.
But like, it's her first day at school, and he like knows his way around the place already. I don't like. How does he know where to? I mean, sure, maybe he's following her, whatever. But like, did he stake the joint out beforehand to like know where everything is too? I don't know. It's convoluted, but it works.
I felt like it didn't work.
Okay.
Listen, he's just like the best dad ever.
Yeah.
Okay, that he cared that much about his daughter. It's the best dad ever.
Yeah.
I don't know. If you're chasing your own daughter, there's something wrong with you. I mean, you're not if you're going to follow her around, then do it discreetly. Like, don't hoverboard down a hallway towards them, scaring them, making them run away from you, and you're just like chasing them.
And I should say too, he's on a hoverboard because he hurt his leg the first time he followed her to school and like ran into a locker or something. Is that how he hurt it? I don't.
He hurt his leg after they opened the locker, and then he slammed it shut.
Into it.
Yeah.
And then he hurt his leg, and he's got like an ice pack on his leg at home, and that's when they tell her, "Hey, I've been following you around your whole life, and like you actually like kind of suck at everything, and I just make sure that everything's okay."
Yeah, and that her alien shirt was horrible.
Yeah, her alien shirt was horrible, and he rides around on a hoverboard, and then at the end, spoiler alert, Arwen's sitting at home, and he's got 2 hurt legs with 2 ice packs on his knees. So, yep.
Let's talk about the comparison to Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? And does the movie fit into the Scooby-Doo franchise? So some of the things that I noticed, the picture of Tobias Bloom, the eyes were moving. Velma lost her glasses. The outfit colors were pretty much on par, and the eyes in the elevator. Joel, your thoughts?
Yeah, I noticed those little things. Velma did say Jinkies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if did we get a Jeepers?
I didn't hear one.
I didn't hear one.
I didn't hear one either. And just like the outfit colors. But there wasn't really much other than that. Like, if I saw this pop up, I wouldn't even know it was Daphne and Velma, even despite the colors, because I'm not really color centric, I guess. Yeah, but watching it, it made kind of sense. But if I was just blindly kind of came across it, I'd be like, what the hell is this? And then I'd flip the channel.
Do you think the movie fit into the Scooby-Doo franchise?
No. No, I think to be in the Scooby franchise, you need Scooby in it. That goes for other things like Velma, like does not fit in because no Scooby.
I agree with that. Wendy, your thoughts on the Scooby-Doo Where Are You comparisons, and do you think it fit into the Scooby-Doo franchise?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it doesn't really fit the franchise because it's not Scooby. However, given everyone is like constantly panting for like origin stories, I have no problem. Like, if this is the kind of origin story that you're going to give me, absolutely. I'm good with that. I would be totally fine to, I mean, I do like this as a standalone thing. I really didn't miss Scooby or the gang in this. I was more than happy to just like believe them as being those characters, and they're just off doing their own thing. So I wouldn't necessarily want to see that universe expanded to make it Scooby. But I think that you could, though, and it would make sense. You know, they're in high school. They're already friends. Next year, Shaggy and Fred join the high school and get to be friends with them. You know, it would still fit the narrative if you wanted it to. But I don't think that it needs to. I really wish that a lot of the things that get called Scooby today could be viewed as something like outside of Scooby canon. Because that's where they belong. Because they are in no way, shape, or form, other than the fact that there's like Scooby, Fred, Daphne, Shaggy, and Velma. Other than that, they really don't fit the Scooby mold that well. So a lot of those things can be enjoyable if you're not thinking of them as Scooby. If you're somebody like me who's a snob, You know, there's certain series where I'm like, okay, on its own, I'm fine with it. It's enjoyable. I could watch it. But my issue is that you're calling it Scooby-Doo and you're manipulating my Scooby and you're making it into something that it doesn't need to be. And that bothers me. But if you want to make like your own thing, that's cool. So I'm glad that this is like its own thing. I personally do wish, though, that given how far removed a lot of Scooby content is from actual Scooby for me, I think that this fits a lot better than a lot of things. And I wish that more Scooby fans appreciated it, simply because it is so reminiscent in like spirit to classic Scooby as far as like how they behave and like their character and stuff like that. But I appreciate all the little nods that they did to Scooby-Doo in spite of the fact that Scooby's not in this movie. But yeah, I mean, obviously it's not really, it's Scooby adjacent. And that's about it. But what it's got going for it is that, again, those characters, that is how they should be played, I think. And so for that reason, I'm fine calling it a Scooby movie. And I think everybody should watch it. And you're all a bunch of snobs, and meh, it's a good movie.
Devin, your thoughts on the comparisons with Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? And does the movie fit into the Scooby-Doo franchise?
Yeah, this is my new favorite live action Scooby-Doo movie. To touch on the origin story subject first, I think that the issue with origin stories is that, like, if it's a franchise that's been around for so long, it's like we kind of talked about earlier, we already like everyone already knows who these characters are, even if they've never really seen it. It's like everyone knows what Scooby-Doo's about. They hunt ghosts and you pull off the mask. Like everyone knows what that is, even if you've never watched Scooby-Doo. And so that's the problem with being like, let's give it an origin story. It's like, well, we already know what's going to happen. It's like we don't need it 100 times every show. But it's also the trouble because when you do start a new show or a new movie series or what have you, you have to do an origin story to establish like the character dynamics because they might be different than the last iteration. And so you can't just drop them in. Like viewers can't be dropped in necessarily in the middle. I mean, you could if you did it right, but you kind of have to like explain the character dynamics in a way that like makes sense. So I'm not upset that they did the origin story route here. I think that it works because it's the two of them. And I thought it worked well because they already kind of knew each other going into it. It wasn't like we're meeting for the first time at school and like overly exploring it. It's like just like a vague exploring of the origin story. But as far as it being related to Scooby-Doo, I did note it. They said meddling kids at the end. They said I would have gotten away with it. Wasn't free meddling kids. No dumb dog. And there was also, which I felt like this was Scooby-Doo-ish, they sneak into an art exhibit for a minute, and there's like some shadow stuff going on, like these two statues, and they go behind like the projector thing, and they're like talking to each other about like sneezing or something, hiding behind these statues, and I was like, that's Scooby-Doo-ish, and also the chase scene is Scooby-Doo-ish. But yeah, besides that, it's Scooby-Doo adjacent. You know, it's just not exactly It works, but it's not. I wouldn't consider it canon, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't mind the way that they started it, like how they were best friends, and I thought that worked pretty well. And it was nice that it wasn't a full origin story. It was just kind of like, okay, we're best friends, and audience just needs to deal with that. So
did they? I don't think they did. They didn't like establish how long they knew each other previous to the beginning. No. Okay.
No.
Okay.
No. I do agree with Joel that it doesn't really fit into the Scooby-Doo franchise itself because it doesn't include Scooby, but at the same time it is Daphne and Velma, so it counts technically. And I always love when they do nods to Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Those are always fun, and it's fun to find them, and if we're missing any, let us know, because it's possible. The villain reveal. So Tobias Bloom adult napped Daphne's mom. He stole the student's brain energy to make his inventions. He sicked spiders on Daphne and Velma used karate to destroy them. This was the point where Velma said jinkies. They realized that Tobias Bloom was a hologram, and his likeness was the most famous male model in Japan. They revealed that Carol was behind it all and that she's 26, and she said the meddling kids line. Your thoughts on the villain reveal, Wendy?
I mean, there's really not much to say. What I wrote was, honestly, quick, clean, and uncomplicated, just like a Scooby reveal should be. Doesn't need to be more than what it is. And I thought that they did a pretty good job of that. I was glad that we got the meddling kids line. And it didn't. Sometimes I feel like that feels very forced. The way that the chase scene felt in this, like it was clear they wanted to put that in, and it just didn't really work. I feel like in certain Scooby things, that meddling kids line feels very, very forced. It does not feel natural at all for them to be saying that. This, though, for some reason, I don't know, it sold me on it. I had no issue with that at all. The way that she said it seemed totally natural, and it made sense for the moment. So, yeah, it didn't need to be anything more.
Devin, villain reveal?
Yeah. I guess I wasn't really concerned about who the villain was necessarily while watching it. Like when I watch a movie, like a murder mystery movie, or like if I'm watching like a slasher movie and it's like who's gonna be under the mask at the end or whatever, I try not to really think about it. I kind of just like let the movie like happen to me, and I just like go with it. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to like figure it out because I just want to like let it happen. But I was like, it's probably Tobias Bloom, right? Like I was like, he's probably the bad guy. I didn't expect him to be a hologram, so they got me with that. I'm like, okay, he's a hologram, sure. I feel like they didn't show him enough actually in the movie. Like they talked about him a bunch, and he had like one scene where he was on stage and he's like, hey, how about pizza for the whole school? And then like no pizza was printed on the printer, and I was like, where the hell's the pizza? Like he literally said, printer, print me a piece of pizza, and then it prints one piece of pizza, and then he's like, how about pizza for everybody? And then nothing happens, and everybody's like, yeah, pizza, and I'm like, there's no pizza, nothing's happening. I don't know. That's his only scene really in the movie, and I was like, I don't know. I feel like they could have used him more in there if he was going to be the villain, quote unquote. You know what I mean? And then I was like, oh, hologram, okay. And then Velma chopping these laser beams like this and stuff. Oh my god. I was laughing. I was hooting and hollering on the couch. I had to show Tasha. I was like, you need to watch this scene right now. I was like, this is crazy. And then yeah, it was the girl with the cats or the rabbit sweater from earlier. And it was fine. It was like there was no unmasking. It wasn't really a reveal. It kind of just was like it happened. And I liked the part where I don't even know what they said because maybe I wasn't listening. But they say something to her, and then she repeats exactly what they said, and then they're like, Velma's like, I just said that, and she's like, yeah, I wasn't listening to you.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's pretty funny. And I guess this is a good time to touch on like, so yeah, they're not kidnapping necessarily, but like getting these students and then like you taking their brains because they're smart and they're gonna like help develop apps for whatever, and that's the plot. And once these kids get like zombified, I think they call it at one point, all they really say is, "I'm good," like the whole time. And like the Spencer guy, he's like, "I'm good." And he kept saying that, and there was a part where the other guy, what is his name? Griffy. Old Griff. Yeah, he's like at a water fountain, and he's just like, I'm good. And then Velma and Daphne are like having a conversation, and he just keeps saying it in the background, and the longer it went on, I was like, all right. I was like, they're getting me with that one a little bit. I don't know. Everything with like the jock guys, I found hilarious in this movie. I was laughing.
I thought it was weird because for him, he was just doing the same thing over and over again, looking at the water fountain, turning around, saying, I'm good, looking back at the water fountain. And then his friend threw the football at him and didn't even wait for him to be turned around, just hit him in the back of the head.
Yeah. Yeah. It was great.
Joel, your thoughts on the villain reveal?
Yep, villain reveal. I was fine with it too. I'm like Devin. I don't really watch for the reveal. because the writers can just switch it up anytime. It's a bit of a farce nowadays. Like they can just like those Scream movies. Everyone's like obsessed with who the villain is. I'm like, well, scripts leak and then they just change the villain last minute through editing or rewrites on the last day, and I don't know. It's just I don't really care anymore. So with this one, I wasn't really paying attention, other than I did suspect Carol, I did suspect Tobias, I did suspect the janitor lady, didn't suspect the dad. Turned out to be Tobias and Carol. That kind of made sense. And the hologram thing kind of fits in with the tech stuff. I thought that was clever. I didn't mind it. I liked it. I love the whole plot too. Stealing kids' brains. It's probably been used before since the 50s or whatever, but I liked it. It worked. It was good. I was fine with it.
I have one more thing to add.
Okay.
I think they said Japan, but they said like this girl took like the image of a male model from Japan and used him as Tobias Bloom's image or whatever. And I'm like, you're telling me the most famous male model in Japan is a white guy? I don't believe that for 1 second. Why would that be true? I don't know. I was like, all right.
That is a good point. I felt like at the beginning of the movie, when they first started showing his face on the screens, he looked like Barry Watson from Seventh Heaven. But then he didn't actually look like that. So it was a little, I don't know. My brain was confused. Yeah. They left it open for a second movie. Do you think a second movie would have been successful? What do you think the movie plot would have been? Devin?
I have a question first. Did this premiere on like Cartoon Network or was it DVD? Like, where did this come out?
It was DVD, Blu-ray, VHS, and it was released May 22nd, 2018.
There's no way there was a VHS.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are you sure there was a VHS?
No, I'm sorry.
She's lying. No.
I meant digital, not VHS. My DVD, Blu-ray, and digital. Sorry.
Okay, so like all of it, there was no like premiere on an actual channel or anything like that. It was all just like, okay.
I think it premiered at something like a Comic-Con or something.
Okay.
But it didn't premiere on Cartoon Network.
Okay, well, assuming a sequel would premiere the same way, being maybe it's at like a festival or whatever have you, and then it's on DVD/digital. I feel like I don't know. I haven't looked into it all, but I feel like this movie wasn't successful. I don't know. I don't know for sure. Considering there wasn't a sequel and both other live action adaptations did have a sequel, I'm going to assume this wasn't that successful. But I do think that a sequel could be successful because I feel like DVDs and kids, well, I mean, maybe still in 2018 or whenever. I mean, well, I'm going back on what I was about to say a little bit. My mind kind of reversed because of the time we live in. I was going to say, at least when I was a kid, like VHS and DVDs, I felt like movies had like a second life, like on those formats. You know what I mean? It's like you get that, like if someone got the Daphne and Velma sequel, you know what I mean, on DVD, I feel like they'd watch that on repeat, and I feel like that'd like be a classic for them. But I don't know if that's the same in like 2018. If a sequel came out, maybe 2020, COVID happens, maybe that's what stopped a sequel. I don't know. But I feel like if kids got a hold of like this DVD in like the $5 bin at Walmart or something, I feel like they'd probably love it, and I feel like it would be successful in the way that maybe not financially, but like I think that kids would probably enjoy watching it and have fond memories of it as they grow up, probably. And that being said, I would watch a sequel. I would watch it, even if it didn't have like Fred and Shaggy and Scooby in it. If it was just Velma and Daphne again or whatever, like I would still watch it.
Joel, your thoughts on a sequel, and do you think this one was successful?
I would say this one wasn't successful because it didn't have the sequel. Looking back at it in hindsight, I think it was successful for what it wanted to achieve, which was, you brought up earlier, Nikki, like girl kind of power, woman for women kind of, that sort of thing. Accomplished that. So I think they did a good job with that for that target audience too. But for a sequel, I think they'd give it even probably a lower budget. And I think it would be like a one location kind of setup. So probably like, well, now those girls, they were like 20 when they filmed it. So they'd be like 28 now. Probably be like maybe an internship or something. If they did come out with a sequel, or if it came out a couple of years later, maybe like some sort of workplace thing. They probably couldn't do the tech thing again. So maybe Aliens, because they kind of started with that. But then the end had some cloaked figure too going on. I would love to see a satanic cult, but they wouldn't do that. Yeah, that's all I got.
Wendy, your thoughts on a sequel, and was this one successful?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think that this one was successful. Although I don't personally think that a sequel indicates success, or the lack of one indicates not success. But unfortunately, I really don't feel like they did a whole lot to promote this. I have a vague recollection of like a tiny bit of scuttlebutt that it was going to come out. And then I think Nikki's right. I think that they did something at like a Comic-Con. Maybe they played like a clip. I don't know if they did the whole thing. But just such a vague recollection of when this came out. And so I don't think there was a lot of promotion done. And they maybe didn't have the budget for it. But like, that sucks. And the other thing is, I don't think that this was given a fair chance. And I was also guilty of that, though, because I had zero interest in watching this when it first came out. I probably watched it like within the last 5 years. I did not see it when it first came out in 2018, even though I became aware of it. I was like, I'm not watching that crud. So I think that it didn't get a fair chance because people probably assumed that it was going to be some kind of like perverted smut like Riverdale, which two kinds of people here. One group of people thinking that that's what it likely would be, ignored it like me. Because I'm like, I don't need to see Daphne and Velma given that treatment. Or the other people who watched it expecting Riverdale and they were just disappointed that it wasn't. And so they're just like, well, this is trash then. So unfortunately, I think that it was a casualty of its time in many ways. And that sucks because even right now, the new live action one, I have no interest in watching it because I'm concerned it's going to be like Riverdale, because that's what they do with everything now.
I hope it's not.
I hope it's not too. You know, I would love it to have more of a, honestly, more of like a Disney flavor. It doesn't have to be this Disney, but like just keep in line with what Scooby was. You know, we don't need to like drag it down into that other stuff. That other stuff can be fine too, but like come up with your own characters to do that too. You know, don't be doing that with Archie and the gang. Don't be doing that with Nancy Drew. Sure as hell don't be doing it with Scooby. We don't need that. You want to do that, that's fine. You can still make a cool show, but like you get your own characters and muck around with it. So unfortunately, I don't think that it found an audience anywhere. And that sucks because when I watched it, I was like, wow, I did not expect to like it at all. And I loved it. I was more than happy to watch it again. To be honest, if I wanted to, I would have no problem like sitting through it again tonight and I would enjoy it. So I wish that it had more of an audience. I definitely think that I would have loved to have seen a sequel right away where they could have actually stayed within that world that they built for them. Like even the high school setting, I would have no problem with them sticking primarily to that. Or, you know, it wouldn't necessarily have to take place at the high school, but we could still see them like during the daytime interacting with some of their friends at the high school. And I would think that would be cool. I would 1000% still watch a sequel to it, but it would have to be the same actors though. I personally have no issues. I mean, my suspension of disbelief is huge when it comes to things like this. I don't like that Carol being 26. Honestly, when they said that at the end about her looking like that she was like a little bit older, I did not notice that at all throughout the whole film. It just never, I don't know, it didn't register with me that she looked older. And even when they said that, I was like, okay, I could still believe that you're like 17.
I think it's because like all of the actors were played by adults though, right? Like
it could be, sure.
Right?
But I mean, like, that's basically what movies are though. Like, how often do you actually get a movie with teenagers where they're actual teenagers? They're usually a little bit older. So like I personally would not. I know some people would be like, oh no, they're too old. But I mean, I guarantee you my brain would not register that they were like 28, 30 years old now. I would be totally like, you want to go back to high school? You do it. I'll believe it. And we'll go with it.
I think in this movie, they were at least believable as high school students.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, I love when like 30-year-olds play high school students. It's hilarious and it's great. It's perfect. You know, it's great.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it would be cool to have a sequel. But then again, sometimes sequels let you down. Sometimes you get a better movie with the sequel than you do with the original. And then sometimes you're just like, wow, I kind of wish that we'd have just like not done this and we'd have stuck with the original one. So I would just love to see this find an audience now, because I think it has a lot of merit as like a decent, fun movie.
I do agree with you that people probably watched it thinking it was going to be more teen, kind of young adult kind of thing. And they were probably a bit disappointed. And the people that thought it was going to be that, yeah, they probably just didn't watch it.
Yeah.
It has a 26% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and a lot of people felt like it was too cheesy, it wasn't spooky, and it lacked nostalgia. But a lot of people did say that they thought that Sarah Jeffries and Sarah Gilman were good as Daphne and Velma. So I don't know if I would have watched a second one. I didn't watch this when it first came out either. I know it was a few years later. The first time I watched it, I was just like, it's not really for me. Then I watched it again and it's still not for me. But yeah, favorite and least favorite parts. Joel?
I'm going to run through a couple of favorite things. So I liked the reveal of the dad being behind Daphne's luck, but I liked the scene where he's the cafeteria server.
Yes.
And I'm convinced Devin goes up to Northern Ontario and sometimes hands Wendy bottles of clearly Canadian. And she doesn't realize it yet.
I do.
I like the jocks. I like that conversation Devin brought up where they're talking about being dads and whatnot. I like the drone, the shame drone, that concept. I liked I had one more. I had a few more, but no, they've all left my mind because I'm thinking about Devin handing well, it's clearly Canadian to Minnie. What I didn't like, we didn't talk about the eyes in the elevator. That was weird.
That was real weird.
Yeah, I didn't like the alien shirt at all, but I like the
alien shirt.
The mopping scene, like Devin. That was probably my second favorite. First favorite was the dad, cafeteria worker. I didn't like 90% of this movie because I found it boring. I wish Scooby, Fred, and Shaggy were in it, just so they had, or they just had some other characters. It was too Velma, Daphne centric for me. I just wish they could cut just to give us a break from them. Just, I don't know, because this movie just dragged. It just seemed like a long 75 minutes to me, and it made me miss the dynamics between the two girls and Scooby, Shaggy, Daphne, or Scooby, Shaggy, Fred. I needed that dynamic. I needed something just to take away, just they could have Daphne and Velma together through the movie and Scooby, Fred, Shaggy doing their own thing. They could have been on separate campuses. Whatever, that's just something to bounce apart. Because yeah, this is just a long, boring movie to me, and I'm sorry, but it did have a lot of good things that I did like, but I'm not target audience. This felt like I've never seen an Olsen twin movie, but this just seemed like an Olsen twin movie where it's just like just it was just a bunch of scenes. If I watched an Olsen twin movie, I could probably find a couple of scenes I'd like, but I'd just be bored watching it. And that's how I felt with this.
You hear that buzzing, Joel? That's the shame drone coming to your house right now.
I'm content with the shame drone. It's fine.
Wendy, your favorite and least favorite parts?
Okay, well, I'm going to start with my least favorite parts. And honestly, that it was like the technology and it was like the tech part of it, because I just have zero interest in that. And if anything, I'm actually very like anti new tech. I like low tech stuff. I like old fashioned things. I appreciate what technology gives us now, but I'm very like pick and choose the stuff that I actually am like, okay, that's really great and I love it, but the rest of this, like, trash it, just get rid of it. It's so strange. I didn't really feel this time watching it, but immediately I remembered the first time watching it, there was something about, especially the opening, where they're just like meeting everybody in the hallway. That movie, the first time I watched it, made me feel so old. Like immediately, I felt so old. More so than I think anything that I've ever watched in my life. And I don't think it was like just the tech part of it, but it was like the way that they were talking to, like, not Daphne and Velma per se, but just like the dynamic of like all of the people involved in all of the scenes at the school. It was like the way that they were talking to each other. It's like the way that the school looked. It was like how bright and like stark white everything was. Whereas when I think of my own high school experience, or even what I expected my high school experience to be like, in like pre going to high school, like the types of movies about high school that I was watching. I mean, like, I grew up with reruns of Degrassi, like the original one from the 80s. And that's what I expected my high school experience to be like. That's what I expected the hallways to look like, the lockers to look like. And while it wasn't exactly like that, it was certainly way more like that than what we see in this movie. And it was honestly like a bit of a shock to the system. It was, because you're like, how can a room full of lockers be so different when really it's still a room full of lockers? But I don't know, there was something about the way that movie opened that just made me feel extremely old. And like, there's no doubt if they made this movie today in 2026, this would be even worse. But just like the scenes where it's not just Daphne and Velma, it's just like the Gen Z of it all. I was not really into that. It worked for what they were doing, but like it's not my favorite thing. So, and everyone else's wardrobe other than Daphne pissed me off. Like literally every other piece of clothing in that movie pissed me off. And I'm just like, what are you people wearing? Like, you have the audacity to like complain about my generation and Y2K and our like friggin' marabou feathers and our lime green and our pink, or like the 90s with their windbreakers with like the pink and purple and teal, or like, 70s Daphne with her headband. Like, excuse me, have you looked in a mirror lately? Rabbit sweater girl, are you out of your mind? Like, what thrift store threw up on you?
It was
Shut
a
your
little weird because they had the ability to change the shirt, but they chose like really weird stuff.
But you see, that to me, now maybe I'm wrong, But that to me is like the hallmark of the generation.
All right. Let me speak on this as someone that's close. Because listen, this came out in 2018. I graduated high school in 2015. Okay, that's not that far off from where I'm at.
No.
This is not what school is like. Okay, this is not what school is like. Okay, this I don't think that any actual school looks like this. I think it's just a modern aesthetic kind of thing, like how every corporation thinks that we love big gray square buildings, like every McDonald's and like Taco Bell looks like a big square block. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of the same thing. Like starting there, it's like this school looks like an Apple store. Like it looks like I walked into an Apple store. You know what I mean? Like that's just the techiness of it all. Like tech is very clean and shiny and bright. And like growing up, I can say that no kids that I knew dressed like this at all. If you watch like, okay, this is what I think that this movie looks like this because I think it's the Ashley Tisdale-ness of it all. Because growing up watching like Nickelodeon, kids didn't really dress like weird, you know what I mean? Like they dress like pretty normal in shows on like Nickelodeon. But Disney Channel, I don't know what it was when I was growing up, but like every character has like the brightest weird, like they look like what I'm wearing right now in like Disney Channel shows. And I don't know why like Disney thinks that's how kids dress. Like they love to put like the silly character in like a fedora for some reason. And like they got these like bright sweaters and like all this weird stuff. And like no one dressed like that. I think it's just like a Disney thing. Like the Spencer kid, they're like, you know, he's smart because he has glasses. And he's the only one besides Velma because she has to have glasses because she's a dork. Sorry, Velma. No, I love her. She's a nerd, okay? So Velma has to have glasses on. But if she didn't have to have her nerdy glasses on, she wouldn't, because this guy's the smartest kid in school, and so he has to have glasses on, and that's how you know he's smart. Except for immediately after they say he's the smartest kid in school, he's like, yeah, I developed this phone where it makes a pie. Like, that's your big idea? What are we talking about?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so that's my input on the look of the school and the fashion. I think it's just the Disney of it all. Something about Disney thinks that kids like this.
Good point. It's a good point.
Just so you know. Just so you know.
Okay. Because it made me feel very, very old. And I was just like, no. It's like drab and beige. That's high school that I remember. But not to say that this was bad, just I would have no desire to to go there. It was a little too industrial for me. But favorite parts. Okay, right out the gate. Daphne's bedroom. And she had a Lisa Frank alien poster. And I was just like, my little 90s love and heart, Lisa Frank. Yes. Was all about that. Loved that. And then, of course, like her whole wardrobe. And then this sort of goes back to something that Nikki said right from the start. How I also felt like this was like a girl power movie, and this is why I love it so much. The fact that this is a girl power message, but without the icky anti-patriarchy feminism that absolutely makes my skin crawl. I hate it. I cannot even tell you how much I hate that stuff. And the movie to me shows like what good female protagonists should be. We don't need them to like degrade or slam the boys in order to build themselves up. They're not about that. Velma and Daphne know their worth. They don't, but they're also not like braggy or proud either. Because I feel like often that is the direction that they go. It's like, hey, anti-boy, and then also look at what a narcissist I am, but we're going to make it like I'm a big bad boss bitch. And they think that that's a positive thing. And I'm like, well, I know why you think that, but also you're not doing us any favors with that kind of attitude. And I loved how this portrayed them as like good, strong female characters, but without all of that negativity. Again, the way that Daphne reacts to Velma trying to push her away, she didn't make a big thing of it. She didn't pull like any kind of like drama. Like this to me was so drama free. I was loving it. I was just loving that so much. There was so little like drama in it. And this is the kind of like, I don't like to call it feminism because of like what that typically entails, but like this is the kind of girl power movie that I think is more beneficial to everyone and is more enjoyable. So that I think was honestly my favorite part of the whole thing, was just that underlying like, yeah, it's a girl power movie, but without the ick. Because we don't need that. You know, Daphne and Velma did not need to prove themselves to anybody. They just went out and they did what they did. And they supported each other while they did it. They didn't have to bring anybody else down to make themselves feel good. They didn't have to sabotage anybody, you know, to like bring themselves up. And I just feel like today that is a very common thing. And everyone's like, oh yeah, this is great. Clap, clap, clap. They didn't show up and like whine about inequality when the boys, the jock boys, were like picking on them. They were just like roll their eyes like, okay, dick, whatever. Because that's what normal people do. That's what we do. That's what normal people do. And that's okay. You know, it's okay for that. We don't need to demand special treatment. They don't get dramatic over other people's criticisms of them. And it was just such like a breath of fresh air, because I feel like that is what someone like me, that is what I have looked for forever. And you just so rarely find it. And then to see it associated with Daphne and Velma, I feel like the spirit of that is also very reminiscent of Scooby, classic Scooby, and the lessons that it taught and the way that it promoted interactions with other people and friendships and stuff. And like, we don't see the gang putting each other down or like competing with each other. And I think that makes for a better friendship in real life. So like, why are we not showing that to kids? So I think that this movie is actually very like inspiring. Now, I do understand a girl power movie is not for everybody, but the way that they did it, I feel like is just so much more palatable for even somebody like me who is like typically anti the feminism stuff. But I was like, if this is what feminism could be, I might be into it. So yeah, just the way that they were like, again, this is how Daphne and Velma, if you're going to bring them into like the 21st century and you're going to make them real, I'm glad that this is how they did it. Is there still room for improvement? Of course there is, but this was pretty spot on, especially Daphne. Again, the actress who played Daphne, I don't know, give her some kind of an award, because certain other Daphnes, I'm just like, you don't even deserve that name. You should be stripped of that title. But Sarah Jeffrey, she gets the Daphne Award. She's my favorite Daphne other than Heather North.
I do want to mention that they did sabotage other people in order to get Velma to #1. And granted, they did it in order to save the other kids in the school. They did still sabotage people.
But they weren't dicks to people.
They did feel bad about it.
Yeah.
But it was kind of funny, like when they glued the girl's foot to the track and then they both like come up. She's holding the paste and you're just like no one is going to see you. I mean, come on. Yeah. Devin, your favorite and least favorite parts?
Yeah, okay. I wanted to say, just on that glue topic there, the paste or whatever, I wish they had more like outwardly cartoony gags like that. I like that stuff in live action. It's like a white thing that just says like paste on it or whatever. Like, I want some more stuff like that going on. But yes, I don't usually do this, but I did make a list of things I liked and things I didn't like, just in case we didn't hit everything, just so I could come back to it. So I didn't look over this at all, honestly, while we were talking. We were just talking. So I'm going to go through my didn't likes at first, because it is a smaller list, like Wendy did. I'm going to do things I didn't like first. The tech stuff, drones, hoverboards, didn't really care for any of that stuff. Apparently I didn't like that Daphne had a big ass house. She comes down this staircase and it's like the biggest staircase I've ever seen in someone's house. And I'm like, how much money is this family making that they can move across all over the world so often? And it's like the biggest house I've ever seen. Ugly alien shirt. Yep. I didn't like the concept of they were putting all the scores on like the board for all the students and stuff. I'm like, that's kind of like, it's a little like, okay, like what are we doing? It's kind of messed up, you know what I mean? It's like, this guy's actually the best person in school. Like, you guys suck. Like, that's got to be terrible for your self-esteem as a teenager. You know what I mean? It's got to feel awful. Let's see. Phone that makes pie. Didn't like that. Shirt that changes. And when I say I didn't like these things, I didn't like them, but I also loved everything about it. So just so we are clear. Let's see here. The guy said we're gonna print pizza, and there was no pizza printed. Did not like that. And the eyes in the dark gag was so unsettling and creepy. I hated that. That might have been the worst part of the whole movie, to be honest. That was pretty rough. And that's it for the list of things that I didn't like. Here's things that I did like. That it was 1 hour and 15 minutes only. Liked that aspect of it. I was wondering, this is not exactly something I liked, but something I had a question on. His name is Bloom, and like the logo is like a flower, and I was like, is that supposed to be like, because they don't have like the mystery machine and stuff, like they're incorporating some flowers into it, maybe? Like, I don't know if that was on purpose or an accident, but I was like, maybe they're just trying to include like the 70s vibes or something. I don't know.
That would make sense.
Right? It felt like
it's a good way to introduce the vibe of the mystery machine without introducing the mystery machine.
Because maybe in the sequel, it's a van that the sports team used because Fred's on the football team. I don't know. And it's got a flower on it. I don't know. That feels like something that they would probably do. Let's see. Girl's rabbit sweater. The orange locker smoke. I liked the smoke when Velma like rubs that weird orange paste on it and it starts like smoking orange. I'm like,
I want to know how she was able to touch it and it didn't do anything to her, but it like basically burned through the locker.
Yeah. Who we'll never know. I like when Daphne got off the bus after she found out that she wasn't lucky and all that stuff the next day. She's getting off the bus and you hear a girl yell, "She looks so much cooler yesterday." And then she gets off the bus and someone yells, "Heads up, eggplant." And then she gets hit in the head with a ball. And I was like, and I think the ball might have just been CGI. I was like, what? I'm like, all right. Let's see. Oh, Guy is smart because glasses. Obviously, her mom invented Smash Mouth. Love that. They mentioned Crystal Cove because they said something about like a Crystal Cove mystery, and that's the town that Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated takes place in. So I thought that was a little Easter egg. Let's see. Oh, there's a part where Spencer, he first gets like, he is going to go into the locker to get like taken or whatever. And they're like, Spencer, where's he going? And he like goes into the locker and they're like, hurry, we got to save him. And then there's a shot of them like lightly briskly running down the hallway. And I'm like, if you guys are in a hurry, you are not going to make it. It was like might as well have been a walk. It's like they were walking in slow motion. That's how fast they were going down this hallway. Let's see. The janitor has multiple mops. Arwen from Sweet Life of Zack and Cody went to 4 years of design school so that he could give Daphne good outfits. Good for him for that. The coach eating out of the garbage, and Velma's like, "Oh, don't eat it." Oh, he ate it. Oh my god, he's doing it again. I was like, okay, that's pretty funny. Let's see. He's got double ice packs on the legs at the end of it. John Cena handshake, I wrote down. Oh, okay.
Oh, the
okay. Yeah. At the end of the movie,
yeah,
the jocks have a handshake and they all put their hands together and they go like this, right? And they go, and I was like, I was like, I thought the John Cena like theme song was about to play. Straight up, it sounded exactly like that. The guy mopping around Velma and Velma chopping the lasers. Those were the things I liked about the movie. That was my list.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I didn't like, I already said it, and it's gonna give me chills again. Daphne running the fork across her teeth. Oh, did not like that. I didn't like Velma destroying her robots, especially because they were like, "No, Velma." And you're just like, "Oh, they're so cute. Don't do that." I thought it was very odd to 3D print food. I mean, are you eating plastic? Because how are you putting enough ingredients in there for it to make anything you want it to make.
I feel like that's going to be possible soon because, like, aren't they like 3D printing like organs and for surgery and stuff now? Like, isn't that like a thing? Like, if they can do that, then food's next.
Yeah, but I think food is different because it's so many different ingredients. Like, you can't put
Sure.
ground beef, eggs, and sprinkles in a 3D printer and then print chicken parm.
Sure, yeah.
You know?
True.
Yeah. I agree the eyes in the elevator were really weird, and the fact that it was like all of their insecurities. And I kind of felt like that was kind of unnecessary to put them through that. The wolves might have been better.
Sure.
I didn't like Velma laying on the floor when he was mopping the floor.
So
Didn't
good.
like the alien shirt. How did Velma go from like 200 to #1 in such a short time? I mean, that would have taken her years because she was playing dumb and staying at the bottom. It would have taken her years to get back to the top. How did she do it in such a short time?
Because she dropped off a stack like this tall on the one teacher's desk.
But that teacher isn't going to give her a full credit for that if it's like as late as he made it seem like it was.
Well, sometimes, I mean, I do remember when I was in high school, it was, although granted, it was like a turning point to where they were stopping that and they weren't doing like any extra credit like after. But they did have like a policy in certain classes, like if you have not handed in, because I actually remember, not that we need this story, but I mean, art was my thing. I came out of grade 8 with like 100% in art. So imagine the horror when I opened my first report card in grade 9 and I had a 78 in art. And I'm like, excuse me. And I went to my teacher and I'm just like, what happened? And he looked and he's like, oh, well, like, here's like a whole bunch of assignments that you didn't hand in. And I'm like, I didn't hand in assignments? What? And honestly, it was like the dumbest oversight where he had not asked for things. So I never handed them in. And he corrected my, like, obviously it didn't change my record, but like right then and there, he's like, he added up everything and I went from a 78 to a 91 like that. So if Velma, if part of how she was like staying dumb was simply like not handing in any of her work, I could conceivably see her like that huge pile, like here's all of my homework from the year. It could, you know, if the teacher was quick to grade it, it could boost her pretty quick.
Well, the way that my kids' schools worked was if they handed something in late, they could only get half credit for it.
Mm.
So, yeah, I don't know. The things that I liked the sarcasm. I thought that was good. Like when Carol was like, Velma has friends. And it made me laugh. I liked the noise that Daphne's alien recorder made when she rewinded it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why, but I really like that noise, and that stood out to me a lot.
Why do you think she was so obsessed with aliens in this?
Yeah, I'm not sure why the whole alien thing was...
Because they were like, oh, you believe in ghosts and aliens, but like especially aliens so much so that you have to wear this dumb shirt. So, like, she must love aliens. I don't know. I thought that was interesting because I was like, Scooby-Doo doesn't like, I mean, there's obviously like aliens in some episodes and things like that. But I was like, I felt like that doesn't scream Scooby-Doo to me. Like, oh, they love aliens. You know what I mean? Like, it just felt kind of out of place a little bit.
Yeah.
But I did like the sound of the recorder.
Yeah. And the recorder itself was pretty cool. Yeah, that's about it.
Awesome.
Final thoughts, Wendy?
Okay, so for my final thoughts, I just want to touch on two scenes with like quotes that, again, it just made the movie like when I got to the end, I was like, I could use the word wholesome to describe this movie. And that is not something that I've felt about a Scooby product in a very long time, which again is definitely contributing to why I like this so much. So I did sort of touch on this about Daphne before, but in the scene, like during like the unmasking of the villain, Daphne says to the villain girl, she's like, "You look great for 26." And Velma's like, "Daphne," like gives her this look. And Daphne says, "What? I'm not going to lie just because she's evil." And there was just, I don't know, just something like behind the spirit of that to me, I'm like, that's the Daphne that I've always thought that she was. You know, where she has this like definite streak of like naive girl sass, but she's not a dumb bimbo. And I'm so happy that they gave her that, you know, and that quote that she did, I just feel like that was like the epitome of her as a character, of like how I have always seen her. And I just loved that so much. And so to me, like the whole film was just very wholesome, which I think Scooby always should be, because even like the dumb jock boys, whatever the hell they were supposed to be, they even get like a redemption moment at the end that reminded me so much of Leave It to Beaver, which if you want to talk about being obsessed with something, like me and Leave It to Beaver, every morning, that's like therapy. An hour of Leave It to Beaver with like a cranberry lemon muffin and a cup of tea. That's how I don't go out and hurt people. But it's right at the end. And they also, again, the dialogue, like the part that Devin brought up where they were like talking about being a dad, great writing, fantastic, made for a fun moment. But I love the end part the best. So we see the board, like they shut down the board that had everyone's like rankings on it. Like the movie's, it's over, right? And the one guy says, "The board was evil." And then the other guy's like, "Yeah, it's literally representative of how technology, in a way, has enslaved our minds. But it's also indicative of the fact that societal peer pressure forces us to be something we're not." And it's meant to be funny, and it is a very funny moment, but that's actually very profound. And I feel like everyone could learn a lot from just like what he said there, because he characterized it so perfectly. And then the Griffin guy's like, "Yeah, but it was still nice to be number one for once." And immediately his friends are like, "Hey dude, you're still number one in our book. Yeah, we're good friends." And like then they do their John Cena handshake and whatever, and they just have this like bro moment that was so just wholesome. That's the only word I can think of, is just like, it was wholesome. And it reminded me of Beaver, because I mean, Eddie Haskell was a dick. He was a terrible boy. And yet they still made sure though in certain episodes to like show that Eddie still had a heart too though. So they had like villains or like bad guys, but they always gave them like some measure of like redemption, you know, where like the bad guy would like stick up for the little guy, or would have a moment like this where you can see like they're just a couple of guys, you know, they're just regular guys. And they like, I mean, there's a scene where he's like watching this stupid kitten video on his phone and he's like so excited about it. You know, I don't know. It's a wholesome. It's wholesome. And if Scooby is anything, it is wholesome. So like more of that. If you haven't watched this movie, like please go and watch it. Do not listen to these three people here. Although, yes, Devin, you are trying very hard to be like, but I loved it. But I didn't, but I loved it. But still, like, don't listen to them. Okay. It was a great movie, and there's like a lot that everyone can like take away from it.
I did like the scene with him playing the cat video, and he's like, "Oh, I want them all."
Yeah. And it was also like the worst cat video I've ever seen, though.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was so
It was
Like
funny.
putting them in ice cream cones or something like
so
that.
weird.
He's like,
Yeah,
I want you, I want you, I want you.
because it was the same exact scene where they're talking about being dads, and the one guy's like, "Oh, don't you have to go back to your locker and like do that thing or whatever?"
Right.
He's like, "Yeah, I gotta go do that thing," and then he's like, "Oh, like loving the cats on the phone."
Oh god.
They were great.
Devin, your final thoughts?
Yeah, I do have one more quote from those jock guys, and honestly, it might be their only other scene. We've talked about all of them, I think, with them, and I wrote it down, and I was only going to bring it up, but if I felt like it, but I guess I'll say it since we're talking about them now. This is right before the scene where they're hiding under the thing and they're talking about being a dad. Velma and Daphne are at the behind the lunch counter and they're serving or whatever, and the guys come up, and Velma has interaction with Griffy, Mr. Griff, and he's like, you ranked like 200th. And then the other guy's like, burn. And he's like, that's not a joke, guys, just stating the facts. And the guy's like, I was just trying to be supportive. And another other guy says, yeah, we're good friends. And then the main guy walks away and he says, the other guy's like, we're really close. That's the end of the scene. But it's just like, dudes, just being supportive, you know? And I love to see that. But yeah, no, I will say this. I think this movie suffered because probably the era it was made in, it was like a post like cable going to the movies time, and like streaming was becoming very prevalent, and like we're about to enter a big streaming age, and I feel like we're getting away from that a little bit. I mean, obviously we're still streaming, but I feel like physical media and like people care more about stuff now. But I feel like this just came out in a weird time where like it just didn't hit because it wasn't like promoted properly, like you mentioned earlier. And like just going to DVD and stuff like that, and it suffered probably from like a lower budget. And I don't think that, like I said, I don't think it's a great Scooby-Doo movie, but I did have fun watching it. Like I don't think it's necessarily a great movie, but it's also like it's a Disney movie-esque and it's meant for kids. And I had fun watching it. I laughed a lot. I had a lot of things I liked about it. It's not my favorite live action Scooby-Doo movie or Scooby-Doo anything, but I would watch this again. Like I would put this on again in the background sometime. It's quick, it's easy, it's not long. It's like if I'm like doing something and cleaning up in here or whatever, like throw it on. Like it's an easy watch. It's light, it's not like serious or anything like that. And there's some funny moments, there's some funny jokes. And like I would recommend watching it as well. So don't lump me in with these other two naysayers, Wendy, okay? Because I appreciated it and respected it, even though I don't think it's a good Scooby-Doo movie. It was still a good time.
Joel, your final thoughts?
I would not watch this again ever. But it was better than I thought it'd be. I thought I was going to be watching some young adult thing about relationships and cat fights, and I got pleasantly okay movie, but there's so many movies to watch, and probably a lot are better than this, and I'd rather watch those. So my main takeaway is I'm glad we're finally reviewed all the live action Scooby-Doo movies, and I don't have to watch them again.
Well, not all of them though, right? Like not all of them you won't watch again, right? Like there's two that you'll watch again, right? Like two that came out in like 2002 or 2004, like you'd watch those again or something.
Maybe in like 20 years.
Okay.
I do agree that I am happy that I don't have to watch any more live action.
Well, until the show comes out. Until the show comes out.
Until the show comes out. I do prefer animated Scooby, but this was for the age group that it was targeted to. It was a great movie. It definitely had a good message. It didn't have unnecessary relationship stuff in it other than Velma being mean in the beginning, but I get it. It was nice to have a good movie where two girls are friends and they're solving a mystery, and they come out in the end still friends. So that was nice. I think that it probably would have done better if it was a Cartoon Network premiere and if they would have hyped it up more. I think just releasing it on DVD, people were kind of like, it's only Daphne and Velma, or like Wendy said, it's, either this or that. And I think it would have just done better had they released it on Cartoon Network. I think for what it is, it's a good movie. I just don't think that it's geared towards me. So I would also agree that you should watch it, give it a chance. It's probably not what you're expecting either way, but you might enjoy it just for what it is. So definitely watch it, give it a chance, and let us know your comments on it because we want to know what you think about it. We are going to wrap things up. Before we do, let everyone know where they can find you on social media. Wendy?
On Instagram, I'm at Wendy Bridge, Twitter X, Wendy Loves Jesus, and my blog is wendylovesjesus.wordpress.com.
Devin?
I'm good.
No.
You can find me on Planet Scooby.
And you can find all my links on ScoobyAddicts.com. Let us know your thoughts on the Daphne and Velma movies, and thank you for joining us for another Scooby Panel.
I'm good.
Thank you for tuning in to another Scooby Panel. I'm Nikki Blake from ScoobyAddicts.com. If you like these panels, please subscribe to my channel for more great discussions. A huge shout out to our patrons, Julie Rosen, Tagus, Garrett Spencer, Paul the Scooby Dude, and Jesse. If you would like to support the Scooby Panel, please go to patreon.com/ScoobyAddicts. A very special thank you to artist, blogger, and Scooby collector Wendy Bridge, Joel from Planet Scooby, and miniature artist Devin Smith. Scooby Panel is available in podcast form on most podcast platforms or as a web series on YouTube. You can find Scooby Panel on Instagram, Facebook, and X as @Scooby Panel. We are part of the Collector's Maze Network, where you can find all things geek. Scooby and Shaggy were voiced by Scott Innes. Check out Scott's website, onescottshop.com. Scooby Addicts artwork by Will Davenport. Scooby Panel logo by Garrett Spencer. Video editing by Nikki Blake. Please join us next time for another Scooby Panel.